Hi, Wildcat athletes and parents. Mr. Staley here, Athletic Director of Bath High School. Just want to give you guys kind of a quick update regarding COVID-19, also to go over some of the basic information that we typically cover in our normal state rules meeting, which we are not having in person this year due to COVID. Had a conference call yesterday with Lieutenant Governor Husted and other athletic administrators around the state. Just wanted to share with you kind of the tone of that conference call is, again, we were glad that we were able to get our fall sports in, but as they look toward the winter and people have moved indoors, obviously with the rise in case numbers, there is some concern, at least from Governor DeWine's office, what things will look like as the winter develops, and they are imploring people, as they have been since the beginning of this, to please practice those safety protocols and procedures that can allow us to continue to play athletics and to have our kids in school, which is ultimately our goal here at Bath. Is we want to stay in school in person. We think it's the best thing for our kids, for our families, and we want to keep our kids playing athletics, and we would love to still allow spectators at those events. So number one, thank you guys for those of you that attended athletic events in the fall, that wore your masks, that you socially distanced, that you did all the things that we asked of you so our kids could keep playing. And we had some really successful athletic seasons, especially our girls tennis team, WBL champions, tournament champions, making it down to Esther and Ruby Bullen, making it down to the Final Four state. Our girls soccer team had a tremendous year before being knocked out, penalty kicks in the district final. Our boys made it to the districts in soccer for the first time in 7 years, I believe. So just some really positive things that happen, and we want to keep our kids on the playing surface as long as we can. So, the winter is obviously a little bit of a different animal than the fall, with everything being held indoors. There are areas of concern, like any other year, if you would have the flu or anything else, of just spread from people when they're inside without having the same ventilation and the ability to kind of space out like we do outside. That having been said, I think we can get it done. So we're going to do everything that we can here to keep your kids safe and healthy. That's our number one priority. Number two is to keep as many kids playing as possible. I did want to talk a little bit just about COVID in regard to the fact that I think a lot of people, questions come up of when there is a positive case of who's getting quarantined or why is that person quarantined and not the other. And I guess I'd just like to tell you guys, number one, we treat all these cases on a case-by-case basis. They're not the same. None of them are the same. They're different in a variety of different ways. And when it comes to athletics, they're different just based on practices are different, how the coaches have structured practices. And our coaches are trying to structure practices in a way where kids are constantly moving from period to period, and they're not in close proximity for long periods of time, which allows us, when we have to go back in a contact tracing situation, to err on the side of hopefully letting our kids be able to continue to play sports. I work with the nurses at the school. They work with the health department, and we try and make a decision kind of collectively of what we have to do in regard to when we do have a positive test and what that means for other members of the team. But I want you to know, just because there is a positive test on a team, it does not necessarily mean that entire team is going to be shut down, just because there's such a variety of factors that come into play when you're looking at the different situations and the uniqueness of those situations. Important stuff with COVID, though, and I'm going to kind of bring up my PowerPoint here and touch on a few of these things, and then I'll have this online if you want to go through the rest of the kind of the traditional OHSAA information. I may touch on a few things lightly, but then I'll let you do that on your own at your leisure, and you can ask questions of the office if you need to. So let me get my face out of the way here and start the slideshow. So just some important things. Again, major points of emphasis with COVID. Again, I'm telling you that just the tone out of the conference call that we had yesterday was very straightforward from Lieutenant Governor Husted. It was the next 1 to 3 weeks are critical. If the trends that are currently out there continue, they keep kind of alluding the fact that they will make some very difficult decisions towards the end of this month about what that means for schools, sports, and businesses in general. So keep that in mind. Please wear your masks, check for symptoms, don't come to events if you do have symptoms, practice social distancing, and those things that we've all been told since last March. Fan attendance at indoor contests is 15% capacity or 300, whichever is lesser. Okay, I'll tell you, within our gym, we're probably somewhere kind of in between the 275 to 290 range. Okay, from being able to put people in our gym capacity-wise. And different contests look different because of pep bands and cheerleaders and basketball players and wrestlers. It just depends a little bit on game to game and sport to sport. What we'll do with ticket sales, and that information will be released in the coming days for respective sports. Basically, our visitors and home side are going to be completely separated. The visitors will have their own restrooms, concession stand, gym, side of the gym for seating. From the home side, I kind of touched on when we do get these positive cases, what that means, evaluating them on a case-by-case basis. All right. One of the most important things that has come out, though, is if an athlete does test positive, they are being required now by the OHSAA to go and get a medical authorization from a healthcare provider that basically clears them to return to play. And this is because of the myocarditis issue that's been raised by medical workers and staff and personnel throughout the country in related to heart conditions. So I actually got an email a little bit ago that has a standardized form for this. So if your student athlete would contract COVID, test positive, they would need to get that authorization form completed prior to returning to play. COVID protocols, procedures, and information. I've linked in here some of the state hyperlinks that will take you to specific recommendations and requirements, things that are mandatory and both are recommended practices, sport by sport and kind of venue by venue. A lot of this information keeps changing. It changes rapidly. So just stay tuned to the newest things, I guess, that kind of come out on that end. There's the individual sport requirements. If you click on those hyperlinks, it will take you sport by sport, kind of what's been laid out there for each of the respective sports. Coaches are going to continue at Bath to conduct pre-practice screenings, which is temperature taking and symptom checks. This is just us trying to make every effort we can to make sure before a kid starts practice that they aren't experiencing symptoms, and that puts the rest of our team in the best possible situation that we can. They're going to practice social distancing as much as you can. Obviously, there's times during practice when you're competing that's not going to happen, okay, just in the nature of sport. But they are trying to do every single thing they can to keep kids separated when they can. Coaches are required to wear masks at all times. Athletes are going to be required to wear them when they are not in competitive play. So any other time, coming into practice, exiting practice, and when they're not engaged in competitive play, they're going to be wearing masks. And you'll see that from every school that we have here in every school where we visit. Some additional stuff. Basically, again, if you suspect that you're symptomatic, we ask you to please isolate, contact us, contact our nursing staff, and we can kind of move from there. I already kind of talked about a little bit if somebody tests positive, kind of what happens there in terms of the contact tracing process. And we also have already kind of discussed this about return to play. Again, athletes must getting a medical authorization filled out to return to play. And guys, that would happen even if a kid, say, tests positive. We had some athletes that did test positive this fall. Even if they weren't playing a winter sport, they're going to still need to get that form filled out if, say, they would be playing a spring sport so that they'll be able to return to play in track or softball or baseball or whatever that spring sport might be. So if your athlete does test positive, notify us. We'll obviously be getting a notification from the health department as well, but we can get you that form to take to your doctor to get filled out. Schedules. This is just some basic stuff that we're used to with the OHSAA meeting. I'm going to hit this stuff real fast. Ohio alerts. If you haven't signed up for them for your sport, that's what you should be signed up for. It's what your coaches should be communicating with you with. Pictures, this says November 17th and 18th. It's actually going to be kind of the 17th, 18th, and 19th, depending on which sport you're in. I'm sending out a picture day schedule to our coaches tomorrow morning, and then they will also basically be getting some forms to get filled out prior to pictures, and those forms will be going out to your junior high and high school athletes here soon. Required paperwork, you should have already kind of been through this process. Registration, physicals need up to date. all those things you have to check off the checklist in 8 to 18 for us. So please continue to get those things done. If you haven't, or if your athlete, you just recently registered them for a sport, make sure that those things are up to date, or the coach will be contacting you. We do have uniform training rules that are 12-month policy. You can see there, obviously, can't abuse drugs, any substance that has toxic vapors, counterfeit drugs, alcoholic beverages, tobacco, any of those things. And there is penalties for that. First offense, reduction of contest. Second offense, you're removed for athletics for a calendar year. And third offense is kind of the death sentence for athletics here at Bath, where you are done for your remainder of years at Bath. Okay? Our kids, I think, know these things, and most of you guys that have been involved in sports here know that this is our policy. Please adhere to it. Conflict resolution, another big one. As the issues come up, and they always do, okay, I know we're going to have issues with playing time and issues with coaches, and this is just the nature of sport. Number one, have your athlete talk to the coach first, okay? These kids are in high school. We're trying to also teach them responsibility. Have them have a conversation with the coach. And generally, if they have that conversation first, I think good things typically come from it. If you need to, then you can contact the coach, athlete, and parent to meet with them. If it needs to go above that, you can contact me, the principal, eventually the superintendent. Just adhere to that chain of command as issues arise, and things typically work out a lot nicer. Social media, please be as positive as you can with our athletics and just promote as many of our kids as you can. I'm sitting here with a signing backdrop. We actually have 2 athletes that are getting ready to sign letters of intent for Division I athletics and Division II athletics here tomorrow. Chandler Clark at Grand Valley State for soccer, and Lex Bodecker with the University of Central Florida. So 2 exciting signings we'll be promoting tomorrow on social media. Our sports boosters, if you're not involved, please get involved. They've done an awful lot to help our programs here this year at Bath. The fundraising that Reverse Raffle did 2 years ago was enormous in terms of it being able to help supplement some of the things that we do with our athletic budget. And we've lost a lot of money this year in our athletic budget, to be honest with you, with the reduced attendance, especially from football, and what we're going to have reduced attendance from boys basketball. You know, I'm estimating we're losing thousands and thousands of dollars. So as much as the Booster Club can help on the outside, that really helps supplement our sports and the things that we do here at Bath. I'm not going to go through the rest of this. This is stuff that comes directly from the OHSAA, okay? I guess one thing I should maybe mention would be eligibility, because eligibility is just a hair different with what's going on right now. Schools were kind of left open to be able to do some different things with eligibility from the OHSAA, at least through the first semester here. Now, what happens when that first semester ends here the second week of January, we don't really know yet from the OHSAA. So basically right now, if a kid was ineligible after normal 9 weeks, that kid we are saying is still ineligible. We will reevaluate their academic progress at the interim report to see if they can be reinstated for competition. And then after the second 9 weeks is concluded, if that student is ineligible, they will be ineligible from competing the remainder of the contest for the rest of the year. Okay? So if you have questions about eligibility, or your student athlete does, they can always come by the office here and ask some questions. The rest of the stuff I'm going to let you guys go through on your own. If there's things that you have specific questions, okay? Again, a lot of this is stuff that many of you have already seen in our fall sports meeting or from previous years. Bottom line is, we're in a trying time. We're in a difficult time. We've had to make tough decisions here. Not easy decisions sometimes, to be quite honest with you. But the decisions that we are making are decisions that we hope are benefiting your student athletes. We're trying to keep them safe to the best of our ability, and it's a difficult process for our coaches to go through all the different hoops we have to jump through. But we are trying to keep them safe, and the second part of that is not only trying to keep them safe, we're trying to keep them playing. We really believe it's in their best interest to be here at school, around their peers, participating in athletics, where they are around other people, where they're engaged in competition, where they're still reaping the benefits and rewards of interscholastic athletics that we all hold dear to our hearts. And we're trying our best to manage a difficult situation to keep that stuff going. We can use your help. Please adhere to the protocols regardless of what you believe about them personally or politically. the bottom line is we just want to keep our kids playing sports here at Bath, and we need your help. We need you as a partner to do that. Thank you so much.